Alright, so we've blocked out all the parts of this model, and the next thing is to add the finishing touches. So let's take a look at what we can do. So first of all, you can see the head. Now the head itself is rather simple, really, because it just goes round and then it tucks into the body of the character, as you can see there. It's that simple. Now, if we take a look at the side view and select the body, you can see where the body intersects with the head. So it's across here and then down here. Now, why is that important? Well, the reason for that is if you actually look at the image here, so I've selected the head, Control H just to hide it. It actually, here, if you can see, it's actually like a straight line that comes down like the jawline, and then here for the chin. So it's straight across and then straight across here. So it's kind of like a straight slope. And so if we take a look at our header as we've blocked it out, it's rounded. You see, we don't have that straightness. Now, the reason why I said this is important is because the head can follow the outline of the body. So we've got like a straight line that goes across here and then a straight line that goes across there. And so what we can do is we can copy that. So we can grab the curve tools, EP curve tool, and then just click, say, on here, and then hold down shift, click here at the corner here, and then we can click down there. So make sure both ends of your curve, so here the beginning and the end, passes beyond the end of the geometry, because we're going to be using this curve to do some projection. So I clicked on here to center the pivot and I moved it across. So now we're going to be doing some major cutting up and changing the topology of this head. So when that happens, what I like to do is do a Control D, so I've made a copy of it, so we have a reserve copy, because sometimes this kind of technique leads to errors and mistakes, and then I have to start again and do it more than once, because it could get a bit tricky if you're not careful. So what I like to do is click on this little icon here, and it places my selected object on the layer, and I can switch it off. So now I've got a reserve copy of the head. So now we can play around with this version of the head. Now I'm going to click on this to isolate it, because we only need one half of the head. So if you click and drag and select just the faces on the left side, then hit delete, we've now just got half a head, which is what we need. Right, okay, so we've got our curve that we're going to project and cut into the head, and we've got our head itself. So excuse me, next thing I want to do is think about how this curve is going to work. So it's going to project along the surface. Now, if you add more resolution to the surface, you're going to get a smoother projection. So what I like to do is select the geometry, go to mesh, and just say, where are you? Smooth. So it's added more resolution to the geometry. If you want, you can bump up the divisions to 2. That's entirely up to you. So we've now got a lot of geometry. So now all we're interested in really is the curve and the geometry that we have selected. And I'm just going to delete history. So make sure you have both selected, so it's the curve and the geometry. And we're going to project it from the side here. So it's going to cut out this shape from the geometry. And to do that, you need to go to Edit Mesh, Project Curve on Mesh. Let's open the options, reset it, and current view direction. Yes, this is the view. I've chosen the side view, and everything else just leave it as default and just hit Project Curve and close. Boom. And if you take a look, you can see Maya has projected the curve along the surface. Now, as you can see, it's a bit too high up. We want it a bit lower. And the beauty of it is you can grab the curve and you can actually like move it around, and it actually moves the projected curve also, you see. And so for now I'm just going to leave it like that, and you can even go into the control vertices, grab one and move it, and as you can see, the curve moves on the model, so you can start. Boom, boom, boom. So something like this. So once you're happy with the placement of the curve, select the projected curve, hold down shift, select the geometry, then go to edit mesh and say split mesh with projected curve. Boom. So now I'm going to hit one, by the way. There we go. So we're in low res mode. Let's isolate it. We've actually split the geometry, and you can tell it's been split is because of this highlighted green line that goes across here. And to further prove it, just grab a vertex and move it, and you can see we've split the mesh. However, it's still just one object. So what you need to do now is just go to mesh and say separate, and I like to find the group it's in here and just say edit and group. So just take out the group, and this bottom part we can actually delete it, we don't need it. So let's isolate it. So we've actually started cutting out the shape for the head of the robot. So from the side here it looks nice and straight. Now from the front it's still curved, and as you can see in the image it's straight, so we will deal with that later. Now we've got the shape we want, however when you go into vertex mode you can see we've got all these ugly nasty vertices that we don't need. We need nice clean geometry, so let's just delete history to keep our geometry clean. And by the way, Control S, save your scene as often as you can, because if Maya crashes and you haven't saved your scene you've got to start again, and that's a pain in the neck. Right, so you got to mesh, retopologize, open the options. I'm going to reset the settings. Now by default it says 1,000. Now 1,000 target face count is a lot for such a simple object like this, so I tend to start really low, like 30. Everything else, if you want to, you can keep it default. Hit apply, and there you go. You got something like really low res, and that's a really good start. Now that might be a bit too low, but I'm going to go with it. So I'm going to close it. Now the reason why it's gone bright green is because it's a bug in Maya, and what that means is the material on the geometry has disappeared. So if this happens to you, right click, go to assign existing material, and just drop the Lambert one back on it. That is the default material in Maya, so just drop it and just wait a second. There you go. So I'm going to delete history, hit 3, switch off the wireframe, and we've got our head. Now just out of interest, if you want to mirror it over, so it's world minus X mirror, you can see we have our mirrored head, and you can see where it's been cut here. So that's pretty good. Control Z just to undo it. I just wanted to show you. Now the thing is, from the side it's looking pretty good, nice and straight like here and then across there, but from the front here we've still got it circular, and what we need to do is to make it straight. So how do we make it straight? Okie dokie. Well, what we need to do is to deal with the geometry here at the front. You see, we need to make all this straight. So instead of following this red curve here, we can actually delete that now. What we need to do is follow this. I'm going to do Control H just to hide it. What we need to do, if we go to EP curve tool, is we need to follow this curve here along here, and then hold down shift across here. So we've got a straight line there and a straight line there. Shift Control H. Let's bring back our geometry. So if I grab my vertex and I can move it down, but you want to be careful how you move it down, because here, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Alt H, and Alt H hides everything that isn't selected. So if I move this down to match the curve, you want to be careful because I'm moving it in this direction. Whereas if I hold down D and say align with this edge here, I'm moving it down like this. Can you see? So it's maintaining the shape. Now an error sign did come up, and that usually happens when you've got all these weird numbers. So if you clean the channel box here and then try it, here we go. So we want to move in this direction all the way until we touch the red line here. So the red curve that we created, we're just using that as a guide. So for example, like here, D, align the pivot here. You see we're aligning the pivot here. So what we can do is just move that up, but we've got to be careful because now we're getting it straight from the front, but if you take a look, it's a bit weird from the side. So we'll deal with that in a bit, one thing at a time. So and here clearly we need more resolution. So multi-cut, now we can switch on edge flow because we have like a change in direction. So if you click here, and I'll show you from the perspective view, can you see we have like a curve here, a change in direction? It's curving round. So with edge flow it respects the curve, and there you have it. And so let's just grab this vertex and we can bring it down to about here, and it just needs to come to the side a little bit like there, and this just needs to come up a bit more. And so this is what we have. And so if we take a look from the front now, you can see it respects the curve. Now if you take a look at the side, it's a bit wobbly. So Shift Control H, let's bring everything back. And so we don't want this to be wobbly, we want this to be nice and straight, so we can put this back here. And if we take a look here, it's fine. What we can do is maybe just push it down in the world mode and let's see how it affects. No, it still affects it. So basically when you fight in geometry, you've got to ask yourself like, which side wins? Does the side view wins or the front view? And in this case it's the side view. I need this to be like straighter. Maybe same here. So if I bring this down to the side, you can see that it's curved more here. However, if we push it in, now we've got this straight line and it's still straight there. So it's a win-win, and that's what you want, a win-win. So let's just grab the alignment here. So I align the pivot with this edge here, and I brought it down here, and then in world mode just push it to the side, and so we have a win-win situation there. And same goes for this edge here. I want to bring the vertex down here, and let's take a look. So I've gone to world mode and just push it to the side, and maybe push this to the side a bit as well so it sticks out a bit more. Yeah, why not? So I want this to kind of stick out a bit more as well. And it's just basic modeling. So this needs to go in as well because we've pushed these bottom vertices in, so we need to push these ones in as well, or else they're just going to stick out too much, you see. So like that. And so let's take a look at what we got. Let's hit 3. Bit lumpy there because this really sticks out quite a bit. And so maybe we can just grab this edge loop here and say edit edge flow, and what that does, it kind of averages out the distances and the curve, you see. And same here, so it's, ooh, that pushed it in quite a bit. I kind of like it sticking out. There we go. It doesn't look too bad. We can do a quick little mirror just to have a look. There we go. Let's take a look at it now. Sometimes when you do a mirror, what happens is when the two objects are joined in the middle, it gives you like a sharp fall off. As you can see, the curve here is smoother, but then it's a bit too pointier here. Can you see how pointy it gets? When that happens, always do an edit edge flow, and boom, it pops back into its proper position. So now this is what you have. And the only other thing is maybe this here. As you can see, yeah, it popped forward. So as you can see, it's too far forward now, so align it to say, oops, D, align it to here and just push it up a little bit. There you go, something like that. Not bad. Now it's touching the chest piece there. Now that's something that we can work on a bit later, actually. We can work on that a bit later. Let's take a look at the image. It needs to be sticking out from the chest, as you can see, so it's in too much. So if we grab all of these vertices and then say align here, we can lift them up off the surface. There we go. And we want to lift this up a bit more now. Okay, now I lifted this side up but not that side, so it's uneven. But if you do a mirror, there you go, it copies over to this side. So alright, so if we take a look at the head now and hit 3, it's almost done. However, you know, you've got like a sharp fall off here, and as you can see here, actually I kind of don't like it because it's raised a bit too much. So Control Z, I'm just going to bring it back as it was there. So instead of lifting it up, what we can do is just lift it forward, and there you have it. That's much better. So I'm going to do Control Z just to show you. So previously I lifted it up, but by lifting it up it's too high up. I don't like it. So what I did now is I'm just going to lift it forward like that. Move it forward. And that is much better. Of course it changes this now, but we can make sure that your pivot is centered, hit rotate, and just kind of rotate it around a little bit more and just push it out. And so we're kind of rotating it into a new position, something like that, you see. That's much better. So anyway, so basically this is the head. Now we haven't finished with it just yet because if we hit 3, so I'm going to isolate it, you can see that the corners here are soft. However, in the image they're pretty sharp. So what we need to do is add more resolution. So Mesh Tools, Multicut, I'm going to add a loop across here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch off edge flow. I'm going to do a little trick here. So I added an edge across here and connected it to there, and then an edge across here and connected it to there. And then I'm going to select that edge and just hit delete. So what we've got when we hit 3 is a nice little sharp corner. And again, you only have to do it once because mesh, mirror, boom, now it's mirrored over to the other side. So let's hit 3 and we've got our sharpness. And I believe it's there as well. We can make it sharp there or leave it soft. I might just leave it soft there. I kind of like the sharpness just at the front. There we go. So that's that bit done. And the only other thing really is to let's have a look. Maybe don't want this bit to stick out a bit more. Let's have a look. Okay, it didn't do anything. Okay. That's fine as it is. Right, okay, so hit 3. That's looking pretty good. So what we can do is add some thickness. So double click on this outermost edge loop. And then let's have a look. What can we do? Go to edit mesh, extrude, and then just push it in. And you want to be careful when you push in geometry, because if geometry that's too close, so Control Z, like here, geometry that's too close to each other, like here, will start to overlap. So you want to do it before it overlaps. Another thing you can do is just hit R for scale and then just scale it in. And if you use the scale tool, the geometry does not overlap. And so there you have it. And just bring it in until it goes in, and there you go. And so we're not finished just yet. If you hit 3, it's still soft around the edges here. So we want to grab the edge loop that runs all the way around the bottom here, and then bevel, maybe segments 2. Fraction we can make a bit bigger actually, kind of, and then hit 3, and there you have it. And ooh, something weird's happened there. Okay, the geometry seems to have penetrated itself for some reason. Let's have a look. Okay, it doesn't like this. So delete, let's get rid of it. Now let's try the bevel edge. Oh, that's better. Let's bring it in. I'm going to go with segments 3. Let's bring it in. And multi-cut. Yep, edge flow switched off, and just add another holding edge here and there. Now hit 3 and it's nice and smooth. There we go. We have our nice and smooth head. So we can actually call it head now. There we go. So that looks pretty cool. And then these the eyepieces and the mouthpiece we will do next video.